Hello guys, it's me Alexandra. Welcome back to my channel. For those who see me for the first time, I'm from the Netherlands, the city called Tilburg, and in today's video I would like to talk to you a little bit more about my experience of studying Dutch in the Netherlands. As usual, I have a pretty long preview before I start with the main plot of my video. For those who see me probably for the first time, I'm originally coming from Moscow, from Russia. I have spent a year and a half living in New York City in America, and it's been already 5 years since I'm living in the Netherlands. I'm married to a Dutchman. I have a Dutch husband. We have a son who just a couple of days ago turned 2 years old. We have a cat, we have a dog, and yeah, we have a full life here. So, as you probably can assume, I have gone through this immigration paper process, that takes some time, right? And it's not easy, and it's long, and studying Dutch as a language of this country, the Netherlands, is a big part of it. And I would like to share with you my experience and my knowledge, how it worked with me, and maybe introduce you a little bit into the immigration policy in the Netherlands, because studying Dutch is a part of the immigration policy if you want to live here permanently. And maybe you will learn a little bit more about how the Netherlands work, how it's being perceived through immigrants, how we experience it, especially those immigrants who are highly educated, and even those who are not highly educated. I already highlighted some parts in my other videos about what really Dutch do with immigrants. Do they try to assimilate them or integrate them, and many other interesting videos. I will leave you links down below this video. You can watch many more aspects of this whole immigration process. But today I want to dedicate this video specifically for studying Dutch, how that went with me. And for those who want to know, by now I'm not fluent in Dutch. I can speak, I understand most of the things around me, probably like 90%. So I have no problems if I need to give a call, so I can speak Dutch. It's gonna be slow with some mistakes, but I will get my points across with minimum amount of mistakes. But I'm not really free, because I'm not using Dutch in everyday life. For those who see me for the first time, I graduated from Tilburg University. I have a master degree in international law and human rights, so I spent basically 2 years studying in the Netherlands, but that was in English. So I was surrounded by English probably most of my time here, and English is a language that we speak with my husband, and we are pretty comfortable with it. So our son is basically growing with 3 languages, with English, Dutch, and Russian. So we're pretty much internationally minded family, not this do normal, but very open to all kinds of different things. So today I would like to share with you my experience, how it works here with language courses, my tips, I don't know, my experience, and you will decide for yourself when you move here. I also noticed there are a lot of Dutch people subscribing to my channel. They keep doing this. Guys, you're very much welcome. You're probably interested in my perception of things here, and I'm gladly sharing those with you. But before I start telling you this story of mine, I would like to ask everyone who's watching me to become my subscriber. Please click the subscribe button. It's really important for me, to make sure that so many people can learn something more about the Netherlands through my eyes. Of course, everything I say is subjective. There is no need for you to write me how wrong I am. It's totally not important, because that's my channel, that's my experience. And as many people in the world, there's so many experiences and so many perceptions of things. So I would like everyone to, invite to become a subscriber of my channel. Don't forget to click this button, likes or dislikes. If you don't like video, it's totally fine with me. Leave your comments down below, click this bell button, because it's important. You will be notified when I upload my next video, because I see so many people keep watching my channel without actually subscribing. And I really want to get my points across to so many people, and I'm gonna be very thankful if you subscribe to my channel. Okay, studying Dutch. Let's begin. Basically, for those who probably never heard how it works here, if you're moving to the Netherlands for a family reason, for instance, you're marrying or not really marrying, or you're in a relationship with a Dutch partner, you have to take a Dutch course in your home country. Well, it seems reasonable, okay, it's gonna help you when you move here, you will know some words, you won't be totally lost. It's not only a Dutch language, you're also taking a test, at least it was my time 5 years ago. You're also taking a test regarding the Dutch culture, traditions, and all kinds of things. Yeah, on one hand, it seems pretty reasonable, you should know where you're going. But on the other hand, like in Russia we say, the devil is being hidden into details, When you take a look a little bit closer, you can realize that things are not as easy. First of all, Dutch is not really a common language. It's not. And in order, of course, a lot of people can say, oh, you can just, you can find any language, you can find any source of information on the internet. Well, yes, you can, but it's way easier when you're actually dealing with English or Spanish or even Chinese, rather than you dealing with Dutch or Norwegian language, So that's, it's not really common. So the amount of information, the books, it's not that easy. Plus, if you really care, because a lot of Dutch people love to care about people coming from poor, uncivilized countries, uneducated countries. For those people, things are more tough than even for those who come from relatively developed countries. For them it's quite difficult to download things, to have an access, to the internet. So it's not easy. The book they give you is called Naar Nederland. Very strangely done. I know also there's another way of learning Dutch. It's called Delftse Methode. It is another book. I will speak about this chapter of my life a little bit later in this video. I experienced studying with this book in Tilburg University, and I realized that this method is totally not working for me. What is this method is based on? This Naar Nederland, this book you're using before moving to the Netherlands, and this Delftse Methode, I find them quite similar. Not identical per se, but quite similar. Basically, you're learning phrases, and you're learning different words in context. So basically you have to learn the whole phrases in the text, and without really diving into grammar. At first it might sound like, oh, it's a pretty nice idea, you're learning words in context. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. But being an English teacher as well, those who don't know me, I have a TESOL certificate, and I was learning English in America, and I was teaching English in Russia, in Moscow, in big Russian and international companies. And it's very, very important, to actually take some time to make sure, you familiarize your students with the way the grammar works. Because the grammar is like a skeleton, and the rest just sits on top of it. And if you don't really know how to structure, if you just take stuff out of the context, maybe that works as good additional material, but it's definitely not working very well, as the prime source, especially when you're an adult. Perhaps children, young children, that's the way they learn the language. They see the words in context, they repeat it after parents. But the child's brain and an adult brain are so different. And we have no more of these capacities, once we grow up, and we can't learn the language that way. We need to, to have more structural approach. Of course, we can combine this with this method of, learning phrases and context, but I don't think they can be prime source. Basically, it's not a Nederland book. I was studying it totally by myself, and to be fair, I took a few classes online with a Russian man. He grew up in the Netherlands, by the way, and he was helping me to learn this very tricky Dutch pronunciations. This sounds that is so unfamiliar and so strange is ha and ge and u and ow and like o, and it's so strange if you've never done it before. It's really, you really need to take your time to make sure you're pronouncing things correctly, because every Dutch person knows there is a big difference between hoer and huur, so I'm not sure if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, by the way, but you have to be like you have to be careful of what you're saying. It is with any language. And yeah, basically I was working with that book, I was studying grammar, I took a few private classes, and I pretty much easily passed the test at the embassy. I believe it was embassy, I don't really remember per se, in my home country, in Moscow, in Dutch embassy. It was not that difficult, but the materials and the way these materials are organized are so offensive toward immigrants. I know so many Dutch people really hate, listening this. They're like, why you say that? Like, oh, but trust me, like, if you as a Dutch person decided to immigrate to some other country and someone was judging you wrongly and with so much prejudice just based on the fact that you come from the Netherlands. Okay, I'm giving you an example. I had, still have quite some American friends who are Christians. They are very strong believers, they're Protestants, and for them their faith is everything, And when I used to say that, oh, I'm going to the Netherlands, that's most of the people, they are atheists, they were saying, oh, you gotta take your Bible with you, it's a very dark place and everything. And, nobody would like to go to another country and being said like, oh, I've heard you have prostitutes there, there's such a chaos, oh, you use drugs, it can be fun when it happens to you one time, but when it happens to the second time, the third time, the fourth time, and everybody makes fun of you based on the country that you come from, that becomes really, that becomes a sort of discomfort, and you're not welcoming immigrants, you're not alerting them to actually learn your language, to enjoy your culture, to become more Dutch society, but rather than pushing them aside and pointing out the fact that they're different, they're not like you and never will be. And it's not good, okay? And I'm saying this because that's how those books are organized, Those books are made in a very discriminative way. Questions like, can you rape women in the Netherlands? Can you beat your wife? If you see a homosexual person, should you just assault them and just call the police? Or like, I don't know, if woman takes pills, can she get pregnant? Those things are horrible. Even if you perceive immigrants as those who can potentially do those things, you should be very careful, with your words. You should explain that this is normal and just, make questions in a very considerable, polite manner. Because Dutch think, oh, we just don't come, we just go straight to the point. Without considering feelings of others, you're not going straight to the point. You're going over their feelings as a tank. And as a result, you're pushing people aside. And it's not only me as a person who comes originally from Russian culture and lived in the States. There's so many people who studied with me at university, and the people, I don't know, from Greece, I don't know, from Portugal, from, I don't know, from Asian countries, like from everywhere. They say Dutch are hurting others. They're really rude. And we live in the 21st century. This coronavirus, goes all over the place, and we know how much we're all connected. We're not living 200 years ago when we all can close up in our own bubble and can say, don't come to us, it's our country, live in your country. I'm sorry to say, but it's a very old-fashioned way of thinking. So if you want to interact with overall society, Dutch people should realize they should really watch their words. The jokes they make, the treatments they possess to immigrants are not fun. So I passed this exam, I moved to the Netherlands, and I faced the fact that I have to continue studying Dutch because I had 6 exams more to pass after moving to the Netherlands. Can you imagine? Quite a lot of work, right? So 4 exams were dedicated to studying Dutch as language, listening, reading, writing, and all this stuff. 1 exam was particularly dedicated to studying Dutch culture, Dutch traditions, the way the government works, and all kinds of things. And 1 exam was dedicated to the fact that I had to show to the examiner that I can actually find a job in the Netherlands. I had to fill out some kind of stupid forms, like so simple and so primitive, and had some small gesprek, some small talk with the person, to say that I actually can carry conversation in Dutch, not perfectly, but it can get my point across, I can make sentences somehow and say what I want and what my ambitions are and everything. I passed those exams without any problems, to be honest. I passed 5 exams in one day, and the 6th day I passed the last exam because it couldn't be scheduled on the same day because it was different. It's like this talk about the job. But I know so many people struggle with this a lot. The first and the most important thing, and why there's a problem here, because studying Dutch is super expensive. You know, if you go to regular Dutch English school, for instance, or language school, it's super expensive. Trust me, I'm telling you this as a person who studied English in Manhattan, and I paid less for English in Manhattan than I supposed to pay here for Dutch. Really, the language courses are super expensive, and the situation becomes even more difficult if you're not living in a big city, because the bigger city you're living in, the more options you have regarding Dutch classes, regarding your possibilities. You know, it works everywhere like that. And the first place to study language I picked was ROC. You know, many foreigners call it ROC. Yeah, but it's ROC in Dutch. That's sort of like a chain of, I would call it like community colleges in America. You know, you're studying there yeah, all kinds of professions. Mainly you're learning how to work with hands, or it's not really highly educated jobs that you're learning to do there. So I kind of had some kind of small interview, but it was not really, how should I say that? It was not really interview that I was aware of, you know? The man was just having small talk with me. I was pretty shy because I'm the kind of person, I need my time to process the language and then starting to speak, you know? I'm now noticing it about my son. He understands a lot, but still sometimes he's like moving his lips, kind of trying to repeat what I say, but not pronouncing things. He wants to be so sure, and that's me. It's a bit of a perfectionist. I think it's something genetic, really. And the same thing happened, yeah, during this interview. The man tried to talk to me. I was pretty shy. I was like, oh, okay, I see everything. Basically, he put me in a beginner group. I was like, well, okay. And I realized it only just a few days before actually starting my classes, because I didn't really care. I thought it's impossible that he would put me in the beginner group, based on a simple reason, because I already passed this beginner level in my home country. As I told you, what I had to do before moving here, right? Like, how can I start from the beginning? And then when I realized they start teaching us letters, how to read, and I'm like, no, I know all these things. I know the colors, I know the numbers, I know how to read words, so I had to go higher. I want to have something more challenging. So I approached the teacher and I said, you know what, I don't feel like this course is going to benefit me in any way. So I know these things. Maybe I'm not really talking, you know, intensively, but, you know, I think I'm going to benefit at a higher level. Plus, I know my personality. I have to be severely challenged, you know, greatly challenged, if you wish, in order to actually progress in learning language. And I approached the man and said, you know what, like, maybe I should be transferred to another group. I'm not really, you know, feeling comfortable. And then this man started creating problems. He was immediately saying to me, like, I have to give you a test. I have to make sure you fit. And I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna drag the whole group down. Trust me, just give me a place there. I will quietly sit, and at a certain point you will see huge progress in me. I know what I'm talking about. I started learning English at the age of 21. I graduated from university with international law and human rights. I'm pretty much sure what I'm capable of, you know. You shouldn't have any doubts about it. Basically, he was giving me some kind of test and trying to talk to me. He's doing everything to kind of catch me. Eventually, I did some kind of like one mistake more than I was supposed to, because of course I was already stressed out. You know, he's trying to make problems out of it while I was paying for that. And it was the first time in my life, like in States, if you really feel like you're not comfortable in a certain group, many people were saying, like, you know, a lot of people say like, oh, you know what, I think it's too difficult. I'm not comfortable learning the language in a group in a way. I feel like it's better for me to go behind. I'll feel comfortable and I'll have better progress in the long run. Or the opposite, I feel it's too easy for me, you know, and it was never a problem in the States. I mean, you're a customer, you're paying, you know, go to any group you want, but that's your problem if you don't pass the exam. You know, we're just warning you. We think it's this, but if you know yourself better and you want to go back, or you're going to go a bit further, so it's totally up to you. It's actually how it works in Dutch universities. You know, they almost easily accept you for a master program if you're officially qualified, if you got your bachelor in your home country, but they don't really care if you finish it or not, and how different your previous education from the Dutch one. And eventually I basically was already totally uncomfortable. I told my husband that I'm not planning to stay here because they're giving me such a hard time for my own money. And yeah, I took my money back basically and I left, and this man said, probably you have to go to study Dutch at university. This is more for this kind of ambitious people as you are. And this is actually, I was totally surprised because, you know, I grew up in Moscow and I was born in 1988. Of course, if I'm 32, it will be 33 this year. And I'm used to capitalism. If I pay, get the service. But Dutch people are so socialistic and so stuck with the rules in their mind that they can't really step out of it, even for a second. Even though, like, for the benefit of the company and for the client. That really, like, completely breaks my mind. But it's not everywhere. As I said, at university I felt like fish in the water. I feel like being surrounded with the people who are super smart, who are very intellectual, because higher education here is impressive. It's overwhelming, it's so up to date. I mean, I'm not really surprised why the Netherlands is such a rich, economically well-doing country, you know. Once you have this great education, why it's so tough and challenging. So yeah, it's really, yeah, if you graduated, you really feel like you've done something special in your life, which I really did. Well, that's what happened with the, my Dutch course, and then I gave it another try. I started studying Dutch at Tilburg University. Well, there I faced this Delfster method that I warned you about this method earlier. It completely doesn't work for me. You know, I hate like memorizing words as a robot. I like this more communicative approach method, all these Cambridge books, you know, when it comes to studying English, and the kind of similar materials, you know, when it's a little bit of reading, a little bit of listening, a little bit of a grammar, and everything combined, and a little bit of talking, and yeah, I just realized it's not really working for me. I finished one level, started the other one, and I felt like, no, I can't really keep going because it's not really, yeah, the teachers are good, you know, everything is good quality, but the method is not mine, you know. I'm constantly being irritated by the fact that it doesn't really fit me. So I continued with my master there, and I kind of dropped a Dutch course altogether, but it was enough for me to pass these exams that I had to pass, this inburgering exam, those who know it. And yeah, I kind of let it all, you know, rest a little bit. Because I was defending my master's at Tilburg University, being pregnant already, so I had other things in my mind, and I'm still up to that point. I'm not really sure that I'll stay in this country forever. So I like so many things about the Netherlands. I find it awesome, and a very secure country in so many ways. But the people's mentality is something what really doesn't make me happy, and that they won't change, you know. I mean, Dutch people, the way they are, they're okay with those rude jokes, they're okay with being like successful but insensitive. By the way, I have the whole video about this subject. I will leave you the link down below, please watch it. And yeah, I'm just trying to take the best out of the moment where we are now, but I'm not sure like 10 or like, you know, 5 years even after that will be the case, or, you know, we'll try to take some other turn of our life, so we will see. So thank you for your attention. I shared with you my experience of studying Dutch in this country. For those who only planning to come here, I know there are some possibilities to almost do it like for free. There is some speaking clubs there, you know, and it's not that difficult, you know. You can find your place, and yeah, of course it's easy in a big city. So thank you for your attention, guys. It's taking already too long. Leave your comments, likes, dislikes, subscribe, and see you again in my next video. Bye.